Let me say before we get into Revelation chapter 18, just a little bit more about Revelation chapter 17. I told you to go on and look at Albert Barnes' Bible commentary on chapter 17. Let me say this, that Albert Barnes, writing about 200 years ago, did not understand the prophetic events in that chapter, the 7 heads and the 10 horns. He was way off there, but that's to be expected, writing 200 years ago or so. They had their ideas back then, what might have been, but it just is not at all true regarding the 7 heads and the 10 horns. Just wasn't in his history, wasn't a part of his time to understand all of that. The beasts of Daniel and Revelation, I've written articles on it in detail. You can find them on my blog. If you scroll back on my blog, you can find the articles on the beasts of Daniel and Revelation. And indeed, it is understandable today, 200 years later or so, from Albert Barnes. But what I wanted you to mainly get from his commentary, and others like Adam Clarke and Matthew Henry, was that they had no qualms, they had no hesitation in saying that indeed this was the papacy. This woman that rides the beast is the papacy. Revelation chapter 18. This great beast power that is to arise in Europe, Revelation 18 indeed talks about it all. And after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon, the great is fallen, is fallen. He mentions it twice here, because the original Babylon fell, but there is a Babylon coming at the end time. In the last 42 months of this age, there's going to be another prophetic Babylon. And that's why he says it twice. Babylon is fallen, and has become the habitation of demons. Yes, that area, that land, especially the capital, is going to indeed one day just have demons there. It's the habitation of demons. It is the habitation of demons to bring this power to do what it is going to do at the end time. It will be indeed governed by Satan and his demons, and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hated bird. Again, this is just figurative language to say that this power is indeed from Satan the devil and his demons. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, her spiritual fornication, all nations. Yes, even going into the Eastern world. Some parts of the Eastern world indeed have some of the trappings that this Babylon, this spiritual Babylon, has put onto the face of this world. And the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. She's gone into the political arena with the kings and the leaders of the earth. And the members of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. She is going to be a great mighty power that is going to have physical riches and trading. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sins, and that you receive not of her plagues. The British people have come out of her. And God calls for more of the nations, especially the northwestern nations that have indeed been a people unto themselves, Norway, Sweden, Finland, France, Denmark. There's many other nations there that need to come out of this end time Babylon. For her sins have reached unto heaven. Her sins are mighty and great. And down through history, you read the history of Europe, you read the history of the resurrected Holy Roman Empire and some of the horrible things that they did to other people that disagreed with them. Her iniquities have reached unto heaven, and God has remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works. The latter part of verse 6. Indeed, double unto her, double according to her works, in the cup which she has filled full to her double. She's going to get dealt with in no uncertain way. She is going to get dealt with eventually. How much she has glorified herself and lived deliciously. So much torment and sorrow give her. She has over the hundreds of years of the past lived richly with her splendor and her money and her precious things, physical. Yes, she's been a great physical church with physical riches. For she says in her heart, I sit as a queen and am no widow and shall see no sorrow. Yes, she thinks that she represents God on earth. When one of her leaders, one of the popes, forget which one it was now, it's a while back, visited a South American country for the first time. He got off the plane and there were some interviewers there, and they interviewed a young lady. She looked to be about 20, and they said, what do you think about the Pope coming to your land? And her answer shocked me. She said, he is God on earth. He is God on earth, she said. Yes, she sits a queen. She says that she won't have any sorrows, that she is the true church of God. She claims to come from the Apostle Peter, which is a completely false doctrine. And she is anything but the true church of God. Therefore her plagues shall come in one day, verse 8, very quickly. Death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is the Lord God who judges her. She will be judged, and she will indeed be destroyed. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication, spiritual fornication, and lived deliciously with her, shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. She is going to literally go up in flames, and people are going to see it, her burning, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is your judgment come. It's going to be swift. She is going to arise fairly swiftly on the world scene, eventually, and she is going to be destroyed even swifter. Verse 11, and the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buys her merchandise anymore. She's going to be a great trading power. This Europe that you are seeing with her parliament is going to be a great trading power eventually. It's a fairly big one now, but it's going to be even larger in the future. The merchants, verse 12, of gold and silver, precious stones and of pearls, they're no longer going to be able to trade with her for all of her riches. And fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet, and all your wood, and all the manner of vessels of ivory, and all manner of vessels of most precious wood, and of brass, and of iron, and of marble, of cinnamon, and odors, and ointment, and frankincense, and wine, and oil, the flour, and the wheat, the beasts, and the sheep, and the horses, and the chariots. You see how a great power this is going to be at the end time? A great trading power, mighty and powerful. The slaves and the souls of men. Yes, she is going to take captive certain peoples and nations in the Western world, and she's going to rule them, and some will be slaves to her. And the fruits that thy soul lusts after are departed from you. You're going to finally have those taken away from you in your destruction. And all things which were dainty and goodly are departed from you, and you shall find them no more at all. It's going to be the end of you, and the end of your riches, and the end of your power, the end of your influence on this world. The merchants of these things, which were made rich by you, shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing as they see Europe go up in smoke and flames. And I told you about that in Revelation chapter 9. The fifth and the sixth trumpet. The fifth one is this European power. The sixth trumpet is indeed the people from the east, the people from the north and the east of Europe. As Europe will try to attack them, they will counterattack on them too. And there will be two great powers on this earth fighting each other. And Europe is going to go up in flames and smoke. They were weeping and wailing and saying, alas, alas, that great city, that great power, that great mighty European power, the resurrected Holy Roman Empire, that great city that was clothed in fine linen, purple and scarlet, decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, for in 1 hour so great a riches is come to naught. Cast alive, and he's going to then, the leaders, that's right, the leaders, let me get the page right here on this thin Bible, page 1. Yes, verse 20. I'm in chapter 18. I went over 2 pages. Verse 17. For in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught, and every shipmaster and all the company in ships, and sailors, and as many as trade by sea, stood afar off. Yes, they're going to be trading with Europe by sea. There's many ways to trade with Europe, and one of them is by sea. And these sailors stood afar off, and they cried. When they cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, what city is like unto this great city, this great resurrected Holy Roman Empire? And they cast dust on their head, and they cried, weeping and wailing, saying, alas, alas, that great city, wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea by reason of her coastlines, the trading. For in 1 hour she is made desolate. Rejoice over her, O you heaven, and you holy apostles and prophets, for God has avenged you on her. She will be destroyed. God will take vengeance on her. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, thus will with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more. And the voice of the harpers and the musicians and the pipers and the trumpeters shall be heard no more in you. No craftsman of whatsoever trade he be shall be found any more in you. And the sound of the millstone shall be heard no more in you. And the light of the candle shall no more shine in you. And the voice of the bridegroom and the bride shall be no more heard in you. For your merchants were the great men of the earth. For by your sorceries were all nations deceived. And in her was found the blood of the prophets and of the saints. Look in the history books, my friend. The blood of the prophets and the saints down through the hundreds of years that have gone by. Who has been responsible for it? You'll see, in your history books will tell you. And in her was found the blood of the prophets and the saints, and of all them that were slain upon the earth. And she will indeed be paid for her sins and her iniquities, and be no more at all ever again.